Hello, YouTube. Today we are going to be reacting to the murder trial of Jonathan QUILES versus the state of Florida. Well, the state of Florida versus Jonathan QUILES. And before I get into the video, I need to explain the demographics of this family. Jonathan QUILES was the uncle to 15-year-old Iyana Sawyer. And the reason he was her uncle was because he was married to her aunt, which is the sister to Iyana Sawyer's mother. All right, let's get into it. In this video, I am going to be giving my reaction to the state of Florida versus Jonathan QUILES. In case you haven't heard, Jonathan QUILES is accused of impregnating his 15-year-old niece, which at the time she passed away, she was 16, and then killing her and disposing of her body. I would also like to add that Jonathan QUILES is an ex-police officer from New York. Jonathan QUILES, who is now 34, was 29 when this happened. This all happened in 2019, and he was 29. He is now 34. And Jonathan QUILES is charged with murdering his pregnant niece and her unborn child, which, if the evidence is correct, that child could be his. Iyana was from Jacksonville, Florida, and she was last seen leaving school on December the 19th, but she never made it home. The police conducted a massive search, and they even searched the landfill, but never found her body. The police have never recovered it, and the evidence to charge Jonathan QUILES with the murder of killing his niece and her unborn child. And the deal is that December the 19th, this 15-year-old walked away from school, and she walked to Jonathan QUILES' job because she thought that those two were going to run away together. At the time that she did this, Iyana Sawyer was 15 years old and 5 months pregnant. Yup. Iyana had no right to leave that school, but she thought that her and Jonathan QUILES were going to run away and start a life together. Jonathan also faces a sexual battery charge because in the state of Florida, you have to be 18 to consent to having sex. And Iyana was only 15. So he had unconsensual sex with her at the age of 29. The detectives tried to get Jonathan QUILES to look at a photo of Iyana during his police interview, and he flat out refused, which to me is a red flag. He kept stating, "I'm not a monster, and I had nothing to do with her disappearance." But a monster is exactly what he is. He knew better than to mess with this 15-year-old child. He knew better. Even if he didn't know better, he knew that this child was his niece by marriage. The sexual battery of another person who was also related. He was also charged during his interview with the sexual battery of another female who was also related to him. She was also his relative. I don't know what it was with this man messing with these young girls in his family. On December the 19th, Iyana Sawyer left school and she was supposed to meet Jonathan QUILES at his job, which I'm guessing he worked at some kind of place where they recycled cars. And when she got to his job, he put her in a truck and took her behind his workplace, which was a landfill, where he attempted to strangle her. And after he couldn't strangle her, he told detectives that she wasn't dying right, and it made him sick to his stomach. He shot her once in the chest, killing her. And then he proceeded to put her body in some garbage bags, wrap, wrap those garbage bags with duct tape, and then put them in a forklift. He put her body in a forklift and put it into the back of a mobile dump truck. And that dump truck was later taken to a landfill. And even though they searched that landfill, her body was never recovered. Iyana disappeared. Jonathan QUILES was tried and convicted, and he was found guilty of murdering Iyana and her unborn child. And he has been sentenced to life in prison. They had the death penalty on the table, but they took it off. And to me, this whole story boils down to having a predator in the family, someone who preyed on the innocence of the young girls in the family. Iyana was sleeping around. He said Iyana was sleeping around anyway. So he figured, why not let her sleep with me? Because Jonathan QUILES was at least 18 or 19 years older than Iyana. He should not have taken advantage of her. He should have guided her because she was an honor student. She was taking all honors classes in the 10th grade at her school, and he should have guided her instead of taking advantage of her, putting her on the right path. But instead, he decided that he wanted to have a sexual relationship with this young girl. And when she got pregnant, he knew that that would destroy his family demographic, meaning that he was the uncle to this young girl. And when her family members found out, they asked her if the person who got you pregnant was going to bring shame onto the family. And he was the one that got her pregnant, her 29-year-old uncle. And also at the time, his wife was also pregnant. Oh, Lord have mercy. Iyana's teacher says that she was a very good student. She was taking honor classes at school, and so that means that she was very smart. She just needed to be guided and mentored a little bit. And I remember her grandmother testifying. She said that when she found out Iyana was pregnant, she wanted to know if it was somebody that would bring shame to the family, and it was her uncle. Although she never identified him as the father of her child, her sister said that she knew that Iyana was in a relationship with Jonathan QUILES. All he had to do was guide her into adulthood. She was already smart. He didn't have to take advantage of her. And then once she got pregnant, he tried to get her to take some pills to abort the baby, and she wouldn't do it. At the time of her death, she was 5 months pregnant with his child. And he has been sentenced to life in prison. And I'm hoping every time he closes his eyes, he sees this young girl's face, because she was smart. She was innocent.